right, welcome to the worst with Chad Austin solo episode again. Just a little recap on life and a few things that I've seen over the week. And first off, I just want to start by talking about last night. I threw a party at my work. I run a bar for a barbecue joint, but I've been doing. For like the last 10 years, my focus has been like I've always been like a bartender of like tropical drinks, like tiki bartenders. And I'm lucky enough to have a boss that really likes what I do, and he was just like, hey, when we close this place, you can reopen the bar as your own bar. So we planned it for like a month. We closed down at 10. We redecorated, reset up, remade an entire menu all within 30 minutes, and then opened up at 10:30. And we went from 10:30 till 2 a.m. And all I gotta say about it is I don't like bartending till 2 a.m. anymore. I'm getting too old for this shit, dude. That shit is exhausting. Well, I mean, it's partially because I got there at noon to work a normal shift too, but I'm so fucking comfortable with leaving work at 10:30 now. It used to when I was younger, it was like I felt like it was like I had to work until 2 or 3 a.m. It was like the cool thing to do, and you can just hang out with all your boys when the bar closes. Everybody can grab a shot and a beer and just chill and talk about the night, and then you actually end up leaving at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Walk to your car or walk home, depending on how close you live to the bar. I used to live really close to my bar, so I'd walk home when the sun's coming up, and you're just like, oh, man, it's so peaceful out here. I have a little buzz. I'm going to go to bed. I'll wake up at, noon tomorrow and do it all over again. But, nah, man. I value getting home at a decent hour so much now. It's insane. Like, I can't tell you how it was almost like anxiety inducing when I would look at the clock and be like, oh, fuck, dude, it's 2:30 and I'm leaving work. And it's like, because, I think part of that is just like having a child and, it being Sunday and she's home from school. And it's just like, she's going to wake me up in the morning. No matter what time I went to bed, she doesn't care. It's go time. And yeah, dude, I got up at 7:30 this morning. And I mean, fuck, man, but it's all good. We had a blast. Everyone had a great time for the first event. It was great. We packed out the place. Probably over 100 people showed up for my drinks, and everything was a hit. So thank you for coming out. If you're watching and you were one of the people that came out or a group of the people that came out, I appreciate you. And we're going to do it more. And so I'm going to be bartending till 2 in the morning more. I guess that's the problem with being successful at something. But speaking of my daughter in school, I just read something today actually on the way here while I was sitting at a stoplight, because I have a bad habit of looking at my phone when I'm at a stoplight. And I open up Instagram and I'm looking at it because I don't know probably most of you don't live in LA that watch this, but if you live in LA, you know that if you're at least 5 cars back at a stoplight, you're probably not going to get through on that stoplight. So you can just chill and look at your phone because it doesn't really matter, because that light's going to change before you have a chance to go. So especially if you're in a turning lane, fucking forget about it. You're waiting at least 3 lights to be able, because there's no actual turn lane. You just have to go when you have a chance to go. But yeah, so I'm looking at my phone, and I guess there's a bunch of parents in like the LA County School District that are planning a walkout tomorrow. And it's funny to me that, and it's for like elementary school children. It's funny to me that the parents are planning a walkout, because usually that's something that the kids have to do. Like, if the kids don't like something that's going on, they can, like, get up out of their seats and they can walk out. But I guess these parents are planning on showing up at the kids' schools tomorrow at, like, 9 or 10 a.m. And they're all going to pull their kids out of school, like, simultaneously. And then they're going to march and this march is to protest the mask mandate for children. Parents, just let your kids sit in school and learn. I mean, all you're doing right there is you're pulling them out of school so they can be as stupid as you are. Now, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree or whatever with the children and the masks and everything, but you know what I do agree with? I do agree with the fact that my daughter gets to go to school again for 8 hours a day. And do you know how peaceful that makes my house? She's not at home complaining every 5 minutes about having to go to a class on Zoom. I'm not having to look over her shoulder to make sure she's actually doing her work because she has a teacher there to do it. If they have to wear a mask to be there, I don't fucking care, dude. You could strap an oxygen tank to my child and tell her she has to wear that for 8 hours a day. And I would gladly suit her up every morning just to drop her off at school. So don't fuck with this. We're on our way back to something okay. This is like that middle road process of, finding out what works and doesn't work. So just let the fucking kids go to school. You cause a big enough ruckus, these teachers won't want to come to school. And other parents that are like, the overly worried checking COVID stats every 5 minutes, those parents, they're going to pull their kids out of school because they're afraid of you and your fucking kid. And then everything's going to get all messed up. And then all of a sudden, everything's back on Zoom. And I'm more miserable than I am right now. I can't have that, dude. Last year was... And, it's like, I've heard many people say, like, oh, I'm a parent. I didn't decide to be a teacher. No, I fully fucking agree with that, dude. You know how long it's been since I've done 6th grade math? And you know how many drugs I've done since I've done 6th grade math? I don't remember half of 6th grade math, dude. It fucking sucks because it makes me feel like a dum-dum, and I know I am, but... I mean, you give me fractions, you give me fucking volumes, anything like that, and I will fucking nail it all day because I deal with that on a daily basis. But don't have me solve for X because, bro, I couldn't even do that when I was in school. It never made sense to me. And I can't go back to being like half of my child's teacher because she doesn't like to listen to her own teachers over Zoom. So parents, just stop being pieces of shit. Just let your kids learn. Don't pull them out of school. And it's gonna happen before this episode goes out, but this is just in case you think of doing it again. And I'm doing this because I want this to be the clip that I put out on the internet, and then I'm hoping that other parents are like, yeah, you're fucking retarded. Stop doing this. And then maybe we can prevent the next one from you more, because you don't understand that this could be the possibility of Zoom school again. And I'm just so adamant about this not happening again. I mean, one good thing about today is I just heard a couple footsteps, but there isn't a fucking like a Zumba class happening above me today, so that's dope. Dude, like the last 2 times I was in here, this last time wasn't that bad because I had a guest and I was able to bounce off of him, but that first time I was in here and I was alone, and there was it sounded like neo-Nazis were practicing their goose step upstairs, and it was just like clomp, 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 clomp. And I thought the roof was going to come down, and it was so distracting, but I got some good feedback on that episode, even though I felt like shit about it. Okay, and then another thing I want to talk about is I just bought this new hat, and it's become like a little fixation of mine because I don't think people understand that I don't wear cool clothing. I pretty much just dress in plain black. That is that's it. Just makes me feel comfortable. If I'm going to be out and around people, I get very self-conscious about how I look. And if I'm wearing like colors and I feel like I'm standing out and I feel like there's eyes on me, I don't want to be there. And then, dude, if you randomly find me after I've smoked weed and something like that's happened, then I'm just going to turn into a mess and I'll probably go sit in my car. But so I was on Instagram like 3 months ago, and you know, you get advertisements now on Instagram, like every like fourth picture you scroll, there's like a different ad. And this thing popped up for this website, and they were selling hats, and I wear hats every day because I'm balding, and I'm trying to hide it the best I can, but I think most people know when they never see you without a hat, they know that you're losing your hair. I mean, I just don't like, I know you know that it's happening, I just don't want you to see it. And I found this website, and like they had really cool hats, and I spent, I kid you not, 2.5 months going back and forth to this website because I felt like these hats were too cool for me to wear. I was like you know, like extra embroidering besides just like a baseball team's logo or something, and it like felt like it stood out a little bit more, and the thought of buying it made me very uncomfortable. So I would just go back and I would scroll through the hats and I would look at them again, and I would add them to my cart, and then I would close it out and I'd go back to like scrolling on social media, and I would do that, I kid you not, every 3 or 4 days. Just usually different hats. It wasn't always the same one, but then it kind of became the thing where after like 2.5 months of doing that, I'd realize that, oh, there was like 1 or 2 hats that I would add to my cart a little bit more often than the others. And then the other day I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to pull the trigger. And I bought this hat. And I have to say that this hat has made me feel cooler than I am. Within the first day of wearing it, I think that I got I got 2 of the best compliment. And it's not like the actual compliment, but it's the people that gave me the compliments. And if you're a if you're like a straight white guy, I'm telling you right now, these 2 groups of people, when they give you a compliment, it makes you feel so much better about what you've decided on, and that is black men and gay men. When both of them co-sign on one thing that you're wearing, you can be so fucking pumped that you made the right decision on what you picked out. And it fucking happened in 1 day of wearing it. Dude, young black kid with a grill in, fucking Bill Cosby sweater, looking fly as shit, comes up to me, he's like, man, that hat is fire. And I was just like, I fought back tears. I was so happy. And then the little gay kid that works with me told me that he thought my hat was cute, and I will take that too. I mean, it is, I'm on cloud 9 about my decision, and I just had to say something about it. Happiest day of my life since my child was born. Was wearing this hat for the first day. I'm starting to feel better about myself as a human. And you know, and it's not only that too. I'm starting, you know, like we keep it real on this show. I've started to, you know, last weekend I woke up feeling like shit, because usually when I wake up in the morning I feel like shit. And it takes me like 10 to 15 minutes to get out of bed because all my joints hurt and my back's super sore. And I thought to myself, you know what? There's a quick, well, not a quick solution, but there's a good solution to getting rid of all these aches and pains. And you know, I just told myself, I was like, lose some weight, fatty. So I started working out, and I put myself on a diet. And you know, I'm a week in, and I'm, you know, like I know I don't look any different, but I'm feeling better. You know, I stopped snacking. I don't eat after 8 p.m. I make cleaner decisions on meals. And, you know, like I go on long walks and, you know, exercise with the fucking bungee cord thing in the backyard. I'm not at the level where I'm comfortable enough to join a gym yet. I feel like fat guys at a gym look weird. And I know, like, I'm pretty sure nobody else thinks that when they see him at a gym. Like, oh, this guy's, like, trying to improve himself. But when I go to a gym and I see a fat guy there, I'm just like, Man, maybe you should have waited a little bit longer. Just did some laps at home or something. And that's all just in my head of how I see myself. But I'm just gonna do that at home. I'm gonna do some laps around the block, and I'm gonna exercise with the bungee cord thing. Maybe pick up some dumbbells or a kettlebell, and fucking Joe Rogan it up in the backyard. What do they call them? Snatches. I'll do some snatches in the backyard. Maybe if I do enough, I'll even buy them from On It, Joe Rogan. Give me your promo codes. Can we be friends? I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I want to be friends with Joe Rogan. You get a lot of heat sometimes, bud. I don't need that heat in my life. No, I'm kidding. I'd like to be a friend. We can be friends. Speaking of heat, Dave Chappelle just put out a new special. And there's a lot that could be said about it, and one of the things that I'm gonna say about it is I thought it was fucking great, and I watched it in bed with my wife, who doesn't really give two shits less about comedy like I do. I will sit there and I'll listen for setups and punchlines and structures and all this stuff, and she's just listening as a normal consumer, and half the time she does not even paying attention. She's looking at her phone and listening to it in the backdrop, but she was laughing throughout the entire, and most of the time, honestly, when I put on an hour special on whatever on TV, it doesn't even hold my attention. After 30 minutes in, I'm usually just, it's okay, I get it, and I'm out. But I watched his whole hour, hour and 7 minutes, and I thought it was good. I thought it was fun because it was, I'm not going to say different because he hit same subjects he's been hitting for a few specials, but different in the way that he almost recycled in 3 entire specials to make a new special. And it was kind of incredible to me that you could take all of your jokes from your old jokes and make new jokes out of old jokes by telling people what you meant from said jokes and make them funny again while explaining yourself. Now, Dave has gotten to that point where he's OG comic, and he even calls, he knows he's the goat, he's at least the living one, right? He knows it. He said it in his special. Now, don't get me wrong, Dave. I fucking love you, but Dave Attell's the GOAT. You are not funnier than Dave Attell. You are bigger. You are in more ears, but you are not funnier than Dave Attell. It's kind of funny that 2 of the funniest guys in the world are named Dave. Maybe I would help my chances instead of being named Chad. But Dave, you're great, but not the greatest. This special, however, was fantastic. And, of course he was going to get some fucking hit. He was going to get some backlash. He's talking about people that already didn't care for him. And he is just salt baying that fucking wound. He is just sprinkling it down his forearm, into the cut, and laughing while he's doing it. But, also trying to make points as he's doing it. The funniest thing to me, though, wasn't even, I don't even think, meant to be a joke, and was the fact that Dave Chappelle, a black man, while telling these stories, he hit the last 20 minutes, while it was a great story, it truly was. Dave Chappelle is a fantastic storyteller. While it was a great story, the one thing that I thought was funny the whole time he was telling it was basically Dave Chappelle going, but I have a trans friend, which is something that, it's white kids, we're not allowed to say, but I have a black friend when we say something stupid. I have black friends. Dog of the Bounty Hunter just got caught up for that shit, and, he's not even fully white. That dude's fucking, at least his haircut's Apache. I don't know how much he really is, but goddamn, that haircut is. And, I just thought it was funny that was the whole underlying thing of the last 20 minutes was, why y'all tripping? I got a trans friend. But I guess now Netflix, the Netflix CEO did something that I didn't expect him to do. Was he stood up for Dave Chappelle. Usually when there's like a bunch of backlash or something, these guys fucking cower in a corner and they take things off of their websites and they do all this other shit. And he was just like, nah, man, it's a good special. I stand behind us making it. And then that turned into a couple trans employees of Netflix being like, nah, this bullshit, fuck you. And then somehow Hannah Gatsby got thrown into the mix. And if you don't know who she is, she's an Australian comedian that just does really long monologues that aren't funny. And I've heard she's funny, like when she does like 15-minute sets and whatnot. But if you just base it off of her specials, she just does monologues about trauma and abuse, and they are listed as comedy specials. But if you go in there expecting that, woof, fucking woof. I never watched the one that got like the most like praise, which one was it? Was called Nanette, where she really like settles into her trauma and abuse. But the one after that, I tried it out and I put it on, and she basically does a PowerPoint presentation for an hour about like abusive men in history and how it relates to what happened to her. And man, it's fucking wild. Yeah, dude, she throws in a joke occasionally, but she really doesn't have it down. Like she hasn't been doing it for long enough to like try to get into some real shit and then pepper in jokes, because most of the time you're just sitting there like, fuck, man, that's heavy. And so they all get thrown in the mix. And now I just read something today that there's over 1,000 Netflix employees planning on walking out of Netflix. There's 2 walkouts in one episode. Can you believe this? So there's over 1,000 employees planning on walking out of Netflix. And I mean, all I really gotta say to that, dude, is do what you gotta do. Go. There's a lot of people in LA that need jobs right now. And, I couldn't take a job. I don't know what the fuck you guys do over there. You come to my bars all the time. I fucking cater, hundreds of orders for you guys. And you all seem like you're not at, you have the equivalent of smarts that I do, or maybe even a little bit dumber. So whatever job you have, I could sit on social media all day. Is that what you do? I know some of you do. I used to have a desk job. That's what I did. I posted for, I worked for an energy drink company. It was an energy drink / sexual enhancer company. And I sat behind a desk and I took customer service calls, and I also ran social media. Now this was in 2011, and my boss was a crazy like 65-year-old alcoholic that didn't really understand the power of social media. So he fired me within a year because he didn't see the point of having somebody that, ran their Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. But it was super interesting. I mean, at least I know I'm getting sidetracked, but I got to tell you about one phone call I took. So like I said, it was energy drinks and it was sexual enhancers. And the sexual enhancer was like a little, like 1 ounce liquid shot bottle that looks like a 5-hour energy shot. And it was called Vital Erotica. And basically it was like, it was a bunch of vitamins and like niacin. And if you know what niacin is, it just kind of like makes you flush. Like it makes your face beat red, and you kind of get like this burst of like these, like the capillaries are all popping, and you kind of get like rosy cheeked and weird, and like horny goat weed and all that shit, whatever, like natural things to make your dick hard. Probably no better than buying the Rhino pills at the gas station, but we claimed it was a healthier alternative. So I'm sitting there, and it's like right before lunchtime. My phone rings. I answer it, and I just hear, "Hey man, my dick is really hard." And first thing I did was I looked at because it's a big phone where it shows you all the lines that are open. So I just checked to see if there was any other open lines, because I just figured it was a very small company. There was 4 guys that worked in the office. I figured it was one of them calling me from their office, fucking with me. Sure enough, None of the lines were open. So I then asked him to if I could place him on hold, and then I just got up and I just walked around the office to see if anybody had their cell phones out. No, man, they were all just on their computers doing work. And I was like, all right, so this is a real thing. So I pick up the phone. I was like, all right, what seems to be the problem? He's all, ma'am, I found your shit at the gas station, and I drank it, and now my dick's real hard, and I ain't got any women's. And I said, sir, what do you want me to do about this? And he's all, how do I make my dick not be hard? Because I thought I was going to have women's, but I don't have women's. And I was like, well, sir, I am not a physician. And this is something that we had, like, anytime somebody called with a question about, like, the energy, our first thing we had to say was, I'm not a physician. So, like, don't look to me for advice about anything medical. And technically I wasn't allowed to give suggestions. It was always just like, if you're having a real problem, please hang up with me and call your physician or call the ER if you find it to be that big of an emergency. But on this case, I just said, I just started off with that, and then I just said, you know what? This man seems to be flustered. He seems to be a little lost. He seems to have forgotten that he has two hands and the internet. So I just offered as a courtesy to tell him, hey man, just jerk your dick. I didn't say it like that, but I said, you know, sir, if you have access to the internet or even a magazine like a Victoria's Secret or Playboy, you could handle this yourself. And he goes, what you mean handle it myself? And then this is where I started to think, like, this is somebody that just found the shit in a gas station and decided they were going to fuck with somebody in customer service. And I kid you not, we continued on this conversation back and forth with the same kind of shit, where I would backpedal a little bit, try to explain, have him play dumb as fuck, and then have me try to re-explain without being too graphic. We did that for about 15 minutes. He actually took up a third of my lunchtime by complaining about his hard dick. And I don't remember how I got onto this topic, but, dude, Vital Erotica, if it's still around, check it out. Apparently it works. Also, the energy drink company that I worked for, I had a lady call and tell me that, and this one's fucked up. This lady called and told me that I guess she had a dog that was very yappy, and her neighbors didn't like it. So they jumped the fence and put it. So it's a package. It's an energy drink packet that's about a half ounce of liquid in a foil bag, and you just rip the top and just squirt it into your mouth. And it tastes awful, but it works really well. Like, that product I stand behind. If you ever find Screaming Energy anywhere in like a 7-Eleven or something, get that shit. You're going to be cracked out for 5 hours with no come down. These neighbor kids were so sick of hearing this dog that they actually squirted it into the dog's water bowl. And the dog started running circles around the backyard and then had a heart attack and died. And this lady called me to yell at me because we made a product that killed her dog. Now, customer service is not always a fun job, but sometimes you end up with gems of stories like these. So, what else? Oh, dude, this morning, I've said it 100 times on this podcast, and I will say it every time it comes to mind, but I love The Rock. I think he can do no wrong. He's a gem of a man. I mean, I don't care how many steroids he does. I don't care how tiny they make his balls. And I had a funny conversation with my wife about that, too, because we were talking about steroids. And she's like, oh, he probably has a tiny penis. I was like, that's not what happens. I was like, your dick doesn't shrink. I was like, your balls do. It's like, she's like, so he's just walking around with a tiny bag? And I'm like, yeah, probably they're just all sucked up and weird while he's just has a massive hammer. Thor's hammer. Okay, anyways, getting distracted about the beauty of The Rock. That smile, though, right? Am I right, guys? He has a fucking gorgeous... Okay, anyways. When I'm scrolling through streaming services in the morning trying to find something to watch, usually if I find something that has, if I scroll past something that has The Rock in it and I haven't seen it, I'll watch it. It doesn't matter what it is or how stupid it looks, I'll watch it. And this has happened 2 days in a row now. No, well, not in a row, but 2 days this week it's happened. About 3 days ago, laying in bed, trying to watch a movie before bed, and I found this movie on Showtime called Walking Tall, which is a remake. And basically, it's like The Rock. He's a Army vet or a Marine vet, and he comes back to his small town, and everything's changed, and some dude is selling drugs and running this dirty casino, and he takes it upon himself to just beat the shit out of everybody with a 2x4 and take his town back, which was hilarious and fun. But this morning I'm scrolling on one of them, I don't remember what, and I passed by the G.I. Joe movies, which I never ever once had like any inkling of a feeling that I needed to watch. Not once. They've been out for like 20 years. But today, power of marketing, I'm scrolling by, it's the second G.I. Joe movie. It's called Retaliation, and on the cover is The Rock and Bruce Willis, and I was like, I'm down for both those fools. Let's roll. So I put on G.I. Joe Retaliation, and I don't know, like, if anybody is old enough, I'm sure some of you are to remember the G.I. Joe cartoons. The Rock is playing a character called Roadblock. And Roadblock was like the fucking jive-ass black dude. Like, you know, he's fucking cool as shit. Slang, all that stuff, and he's just one badass motherfucker. So The Rock was playing Roadblock, and first scene is like a very dark. It's like a dark ops, so it's like middle of the night, and they're kind of painted up, and they do all their stuff. But the very next scene is like Channing Tatum and The Rock at The Rock's house playing with his kids, The Rock's kids, and it's in the middle of the daytime, and yo. Wildest shit ever, they blackfaced The Rock for that movie. Like, they totally tanned him up so much to make him look like he's more of a black man, and it is the fucking funniest thing to see. It was, like, kind of shocking, to be honest. Like, so, all I gotta say about that is, I know I'm leading people to it, but please don't cancel The Rock for doing blackface. I really love him, and I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. Rock, you can sponsor this podcast. I will take sponsorship with your energy drinks or your workout supplements or your tequila or your XFL network, or, you know, one of the 100 things that you do. You're like, you're like this 6'7" version of Kevin Hart, where he's doing like 1,000 things. No wonder you guys are friends. You're just more talented than he is. And, yeah, man, fucking go watch G.I. Joe Retaliation, though, because I promise you, if you get high and watch this, which I wasn't high, and I think I might rewatch it again, baked out of my mind, because it is so wacky. It's just one of those movies where it's just like action where action isn't even needed, followed by more extreme action. There is a scene in this movie where ninja, and because there's two main characters in G.I. Joe, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and they're actual ninjas. But then there's a clan of ninjas, and they are all suspended from a mountain on a rope, on individual ropes, and they are fighting with katanas, with ninja swords, suspended from a mountain, running sideways on a mountain at each other. And they're like, like flipping over each other and clinking swords, when really all you should be doing is cutting each other's ropes so you fall to your death. And that happens a couple times. But, I mean, just on that scene alone, it's something worth a watch. All right. So, Kim Kardashian just recently hosted SNL. Now, I don't really have a problem with Kim Kardashian. I could care less about her either way. But I just thought to myself, I was like, I don't understand why. Like she bangs dudes and she's good on Instagram. I don't understand what makes her great for SNL. So I was like, all right, I got to at least watch the opening monologue to find out what goes on. And all I want to know is who the fuck wrote her opening monologue, because it was fantastic. They basically have her roast everybody in her life, from Kanye to her mom to her sisters to her dad/mom. I mean, and everybody gets it. And you know, they let Kim Kardashian make a trans joke, and no one fucking went after her head. So like, fuck you guys that are all after Dave Chappelle. Like, it feels a little biased. But anyways, if you have the means to see it, just go search it on the YouTubes or whatever. The Kim Kardashian opening monologue for SNL. The jokes are great. Personally, I think that she could have rehearsed them a little bit more, because if I'm picking nits here, the delivery just seemed a little stale. But because the writing's so good, you get the jokes and they still have a good laugh. So shout out to you, Kim Kardashian. That shit was solid. And whoever your writer was too. Like, first thought was Michael Che, but then later on in the episode, like, Chris Rock was there and a few other people, and you know, so who knows? But it was solid. There's a new show. Well, it's not that new. It's like a month old now. Like Squid Games. Has anybody seen this? I'm pretty sure I have, because it's like the biggest show on Netflix right now. Or I like to call it Double Dare for Koreans. It's I mean, seriously, it's like the fucking most gnarly game of Double Dare. And dude, I saw actually, and I've had that line stored in my head for like a week, but then this morning I read a joke from another comedian on Twitter, and I was like, fuck, man, this is so much better than mine. And her name's I think Nicole or Amy, something like that. But she's an LA comedian, and I just want to shout her out for this because it's so fantastic. She was like, Squid Games is great and all, but I'm really sad that no one thought to call it Crazy Poor Asians. And if you watch the show, that's all it is. It's just really poor Asians making horrible decisions to make money. And it just worked so well. So then I just got in my head about it's bullshit that I didn't think of that first, because that's what we do. Is you hear a good joke or you read a good one-liner and you're like, fuck you for thinking that first. Dude, you know what? I kind of want to... Let me see. I have so many open tabs. Bro. Dudes. I talk about this bitch a lot, and I think it's just because she's so fucking wacky. But Demi Lovato's at it again, dude. This woman needs to be stopped. This woman needs to be stopped. Oh, I can't even call her a woman. They needs to be stopped. They recently went on the internet and said that we need to stop calling aliens because it's offensive, and that they should be called extraterrestrial. I'm like, hold on, and what the fuck? Like, you start when you're making a show about being abducted by aliens, and you're talking to people that do it, and then you're like mixing in your extreme woke culture to now aliens, and making us think that, what are you, some kind of like a channeler? Do you deliver their messages? How do you know this? I really just can't wrap my head around it. And I know that in my head, I know that you don't really know this. This is just your way to stay relevant. You come out every week or so and say something fucking wild and stupid, and then assholes like me are talking about you wasting time on their shows that they pay money to do because you're an insane person. I really liked you more when you were doing heroin, because you weren't in the news at all. You were just doing drugs in a hotel. But then Neil deGrasse Tyson recently fired back at her, which is insane to me because that guy, for being like the biggest fucking dork, really just loves he just loves like the celebrity attention he gets for being a dork. And he came back and just said aliens don't have feelings and you can call them whatever they want. And Neil, how the fuck do you know that? Why? I mean, I understand that you're a lot smarter than her, but how do you know they don't have feelings? I mean, I'm almost about to back her on this more than you, because it just, if something is walking around and supposedly, as far as movies go, a way more intelligent life form than we are, why wouldn't they have feelings? Maybe that's why they're so. All right, Neil, I see your point. I just worked it out in my head right now. They are so far beyond us because they don't have feelings. Neil, I'm sorry for everything I just said about you. I take it back. I worked this out in my head as this show is going, and I realized that you're probably fucking right, Neil. They probably have not a single feeling. They don't care about hunting down pussy or ass. They're just working on their culture. They're just trying to get their shit together so they can come kill us all. And that kind of drive demands no feelings. Thanks, Neil. Fucking appreciate you now. You're still a dork. I want to talk about this this Mario cast, the Super Mario Brothers movie. And at first, I'm going to be honest, when I heard this movie got announced, one of my friends just told me, did you hear that they cast Chris Pratt to play Mario? And I didn't even think twice about asking if it was animated. I thought that this was a live action movie. So at first I got very upset. I was like, how? How is that Mario? And also, why do we call him Mario? If you go to the East Coast where Italians actually live, they all pronounce it Mario. It's Super Mario Brothers. But the Japanese made the game, they called him Mario, and now everyone calls him Mario. But if you go to actual Italians, none of them say Mario. It's Mario. But anyways, I was upset for all of 5 minutes until I actually looked it up and realized that they're just making an animated movie. And sure, Chris Pratt will do just fine as Mario. I don't understand what the fucking huffs and puffs are about. Like, I'm sure he can do the hiss-a-me. Like, I mean, an average Joe can make that voice. I just did it. Hire me. Charlie Day as Luigi is something I don't get as much, because everything I see Charlie Day do, he seems like just to play a very neurotic character, and I don't really see the dumb plumber as being that type of guy. Jack Black as Bowser seems fine to me. He's able to do a lot of stuff. No one cares who plays Princess Peach. Let's just be honest. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I mean, all I can say is that if they don't have Seth Rogen do the Seth Rogen laugh as Donkey Kong, if Donkey Kong's on the screen going, like, it's just a waste of the talent, because that's really all you ever hire Seth Rogen for. Also, speaking of Seth Rogen, one of the nights that I came here to do stand-up late at night, I was driving home, and I'm on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I'm driving my windows down, and this Honda Civic pulls up next to me, and I just hear some kid go, "Holy shit, it's Seth Rogen!" And then I turned my head slightly, and he goes, "Oh man, it's not Seth Rogen." And I was like, "Dude, why did you think Seth Rogen was driving a Honda Accord? Like that doesn't make any sense." But also, I mean, I don't really see it, but okay. I mean, I have photographic evidence that Jonah Hill was copying my style for a long time until he turned into this like fucking surfer bum guy. But Seth Rogen, don't quite see it. I'm definitely not Jewy enough. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I honestly think that they should have gotten Danny DeVito to play Toad. I think that Toad should have been like a fucking snarky, little bit more of a raspy voice weirdo. And other than that, no one cares who plays Spike and Kamek and whoever the fuck else. But yeah, so like I said, upset for like 2 minutes when I thought it was a live action movie and Chris Pratt was Mario, and then I got over it really fast. All right, besides that, so one more thing about this hat. I'm gonna go back to that. So I get a lot. I wear like I usually wear like baseball or basketball hats. I don't watch sports at all. I just like logos. Like all my clothing is plain black, but I just for some reason I like a logo on my hat. And I wear like a Bulls hat, and I like Jordan. I like Dennis Rodman back in the 90s. That was dope. But I don't care about it anymore. And then I have a California Angels hat, and I only have that one because it's literally my initials. It's CA for Chad Austin. Don't care about the Angels. And then I have LA hats. I have a few of them because you know why? Because I live in LA. But the Dodgers recently have been in the playoffs. And my bar is, TVs surround you 360 degrees, and we get a lot of people coming in to watch sports. Now, I could give a fuck less about sports, but I do like to instigate things. So I'll be wearing this LA hat, and then I will be clapping for the other team when they do something well. Or laughing when the Dodgers do something bad. And there's a lot of people at the bar that get really upset with me. And they're like, how the fuck you wearing that hat? How the fuck you gonna do that? And I tell them, you know why? Because first of all, I don't care. And second of all, it's almost personal. My cousin plays for the Dodgers, and he's kind of a dick. So, nothing against the rest of the team. You guys do you, but I have a personal thing. And I'm just going to root for whoever they're playing against, regardless of who they are, because this fucking dickhead Justin Turner's on your team. And I got beef. He's not a nice person. And I've told this to like 100 people at my bar, where they're like, oh, you have family? And I'm like, yeah, Justin Turner. And then they go, oh, well, I can kind of see it. And I'm like, yeah, and I tell them all the time, great baseball player doesn't equal great person. And I fully understand that he's one of the MVPs on the team, and he's great, but at the same time, I am blocked from all social media, and also my phone number is blocked from his phone. And let me tell you the little story of why that happened. So, as one does when you grow up with a cousin that you see a few times a year, usually on like family situations, reunions, and Thanksgivings and Christmases, and so have yous. So we used to, we'd play football in the backyard. We'd talk shit, hang out. And as years went by, and, he, went into the majors, and then he was on the Mets, and then he was on, moved to the Dodgers, and everything was great. And, my family, super diehard freak fans of Justin, and which is understandable because, your family made it big. He's in the big time. He's a fucking professional baseball player that is very well known. And so they're always posting things about him and, good job. And I can't remember what it was because it was like 7 years ago that he banned me from his existence. Somebody posted something about him. And I just made a joke about like him having a hard time covering up his bald spot because he's balding in the back. So am I. Not a big deal, right? It was a joke between family members. You bust balls, right? Well, Big Red's wife got onto the thread and cussed me out and was like, how dare you? So obviously he's a little bit more sensitive about his bald spot than I am. I just wear hats. He gets pissed and has his wife do his dirty work, whatever. And so she gets in there and starts, cursing me out via Facebook, like anybody cares. And then, I just go about my day. the next day I'm talking to somebody about him, and I go to try to find him on Instagram, and it's like, you know, like, this person does not exist, blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, it wasn't, I promise you it wasn't me. Somebody created a meme page on Instagram called Justin Turner's Bald Spot. Now, that started to circulate within the family, and that kind of got me blackballed from things because I happened to mention it, and then there happened to be a page. Now, while I thought it was hilarious that that page existed, I didn't make it. And the problem with the page is the man knows where his bald spot is. He hides it from camera, and he's most of the time wearing a hat or bandana. So it's a very hard meme page to carry on. You can find very little pictures of his bald spot. So I think the page like shut down, or I mean, maybe it still exists. I haven't checked, but Instagram, Justin Turner's Bald Spot, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. Check it out, see if it's still there. You know, I feel like we've banged through this one pretty good. I want to end it on a high note, which is me being disowned by my famous cousin. And, dude, thank you all for listening to The Worst. Please tell your friends, you know, the whole, all the shit that I have to do at the end, the likes and the rates and the scribes and the views. Because I'll tell you what, the audio's doing well, but the video's not doing so well. So you guys need to help me out a little bit. Fucking help me out a little bit. I want to continue to do this, but I need a reason to. I mean, I'm going to continue to do this, but maybe I just won't do fucking video anymore because everyone's just downloading the audio. So please, I like doing it this way. So watch it a few times. You know? Fucking watch it. Give me more than fucking, you know, 25 views a week. I'd appreciate it. All right. Thank you for watching The Worst. We out. Thank you.